Hi there, my name's Nessie and you're listening to a podcast of The Culture Cafe. This episode is episode 62 and it features an interview with Wretch 32. Enjoy! Hey Wretch, how's it going?
Hey, how you doing?
I'm not doing too bad. How are you today?
I'm not bad. You have an accent. I love it.
I never think I have an accent because I'm a bit of a culchie. Now, here in Ireland, us culchies are from outside Dublin, but I have been living like in Dublin for about half my life. So it's kind of a mixture of a real country accent and a Dublin accent at this stage. So
That's
there
why
you go.
It sounds so cool.
Do you reckon?
Yeah.
I have that.
I'll swap you any day.
There's nothing wrong with Tottenham. I lived up in Enfield for a little while, actually.
Yeah, that's not far. Half an hour.
Yeah, I lived up in Enfield for a little while. So listen, thanks for taking the time out. Really appreciate it. You're getting involved with Arthur's Day in the UK, which is great.
Yeah.
And over the past couple of years here, it has been grown into one big party, really. But over the summer as well, you've played like tons and tons of festivals and different things. What has your favourite event been this year?
Wow. Favourite event? That's such a difficult question. Probably V Festival. Reason being, I pulled a muscle in my shoulder.
Ouch.
And I don't think I was actually allowed to perform. But we done it with a sling on, and I just thought that was mad cool. It was one of the most painful shows, but definitely happy that I got through it, and yeah, I really enjoyed it.
So you're a bit of a warrior then, are you?
Yeah, you know, for me it was like I wouldn't want to let down, you know, that amount of people, and I was like, as long as I feel like I can do it, so let's go and do it. So yeah, we went and done it. I was in the pain I was in after was definitely not very nice, but it was you know, it was a mad show. The energy, the crowd was so happy to see that I still came with my arm in a sling. That I think they went extra mad because they were just almost like they were trying to help me out, you know.
Well, it kind of shows a dedication and a respect for the fans that you bothered doing that. Do you not think?
Yeah, I wouldn't have been able to sleep that night had I cancelled it. To be honest, you know, you get tweets from some people will tweet you and be like, "I'm going to see you in like 62 days," and you're like, okay, you know, stuff like that. Like, when you see something like that, it's like someone's actually counting down every day till they see you like 60. So I've had people say, I'm going to see you in 114 days. And I'm just like, wow, okay, cool.
It's a bit mad that social media has kind of broken down. It's kind of broken down, let's say, pop stars or rock stars. It's taken them off this little platform, and I think it's made them a lot more human.
Yeah, definitely a lot more accessible as well. And I think that's a good thing, you know, because at the same time, you know, they can get to me or they can tell me stuff. We might not reply all the time, but we see quite a lot of it. And, you know, when you think, I could be sitting here thinking, okay, what am I going to put out next from my album? I can just directly ask the fans and say, okay, what is your favorite song on my album that I have not released as a single? And they could say, okay, track 7. And it's like, cool, well, let's go with that. And being able to do that, I think, is a great thing, you know, because you're in direct contact with your fans. Which
is pretty cool.
Yeah.
Now, you've collaborated with some great people, like example, Ed Sheeran, Etta Bond. But of all your childhood idols, I suppose, who would you love to work with? Am I asking tough questions today?
Yeah, I love it. If we're talking childhood, then it'd have to be Michael Jackson. If we're talking childhood, Michael Jackson or Bob Marley. If we're talking current, I'd say maybe Damian Marley. or yeah, even Gary Barlow I'd like to get in do a session with.
Oh, I heard before you say that you thought Take That were great. Now, I've seen them live, I don't know how many times, and it's kind of the one thing that myself and my sisters always do together. It's the only thing we always do together is go to a Take That concert, because they're brilliant performers and put on such a great show. But what is it about Gary Barlow that you'd like to kind of get in a studio with him for?
I think, of course, a few of them, write different records, but, particularly the ones I really seem to love are, written by Gary. And I think he's wrote a few songs for me that are what I find. I think there's some people make music, some people make great songs, but some people make special songs. And I think a special song brings you back to a moment in time, or it describes a moment in time in life. And some of the records Gary's wrote are songs I consider to be special songs. So, I definitely feel like he's a very good songwriter. Because I don't think writers write many of them songs in their lifetime. I think it's just not easy to write. Like Adele, her album sold, a massive amount of records. But, and Someone Like You is a special song. Because it takes you back to a moment in your life where, you're put in her shoes and you're put in that predicament, and it kind of gives you a feeling when you listen to it, and you can almost picture exactly what she's talking about and the people she's talking about. I think the records are special, and I think Gary really writes them special records.
And I think that's one reason why music is such a universal thing to people, and people have a deep, fond love of music, because they always picture themselves in those moments. It's a universal language, and I think it's something that it's one of them things that it's not a necessity, like you couldn't live without it, but everybody needs it. Yeah,
and there's not there's not a lot of things that I like that.
Your mixtape, the Wretch mixtape. Mixtapes have been an important part of hip-hop music and, just the spreading of the music and the culture. Do you think it's important to continue that trend even though you're a signed artist?
Yeah, 1,000,000%. How I look at a mixtape in 2012 is different to how I look at it in 2006. In 2006, it's like, okay, let me make a product that I want to build on my fan base. I'm going to give some out. I want to sell some, potentially make back the money that it cost me to spend. Now I'm in a better financial position. For me, a mixtape is to keep my core fan base happy. And you always have them people that are like, I'm not too sure about Wretch. I don't want to spend £10 on his album. So I'm going to give that person 17 songs for free to make up their mind whether, they're into what I do or not. So when the album comes out, they have a decision whether they're going to buy it or not without feeling bad because they've had something for free, and for me, it's always good to exercise my brain. Hence why it's called Retrocise. It's just me exercising my thoughts, and I'm one of them artists that's definitely about the art form. So I care about people appreciating what I'm saying in my verses as much as the big choruses, So I definitely would always do mixtapes.
So when you're writing, what comes first? Do the beats come first, or do the words and the lyrics come first?
Vice versa, When I'm in the studio with a producer, sometimes we're making the beat, he's making the beat and I'm writing the lyrics at the same time. Sometimes they send me the beat and I write to it. Sometimes I have a concept and maybe have a chorus or maybe have a verse or two, and then somebody makes something to that. But it's always quite difficult doing it that way because it's like I'm hearing the song a particular way in my head. So I need to get in the studio with the right person who can make what I'm hearing. Or sometimes it gets quite difficult because I can't produce. So, yeah.
Could be quite frustrating then.
Yeah, because it's like I hear it like this in my head because I've written it to an imaginary song that hasn't been made.
Yeah.
and I'm trying to explain it to someone, and if he doesn't get what I'm talking about, it's mad difficult.
Now, Tractor, it just exploded and it catapulted you onto the music consciousness, I suppose. But what was the biggest steps that you, or what was the biggest adjustments that you had to make yourself within the music industry and personally when this happened?
I think the biggest adjustment I've had to make isn't even musically. I think it's just in my life, in terms of, you know, going shopping and, you know, walking into a shop and then, you know, half the shop screaming at me just was kind of, you know, I've always, you know, being on the underground, you always come across the odd person in the street, you know, let's take a picture, etc. But, you know, once you're at a certain level, it's like sometimes it is actually quite crazy, and having to adjust to that is weird because you're still just yourself. So you're like, I just want to go shop, I want to go Tesco, I want to go Sainsbury's or whatever. And now it's like,
sorry, go on.
I have to think about it. I kind of have to plan what I'm doing. Like, if I'm going to go shopping, I go very early, so we avoid the school kids. You know, we avoid that mad shopping rush. Like, I wouldn't go shopping in the sales, or when I know, like, so like if the iPhone just came out today, I wouldn't go today because everyone's going to be there. So it's like you just have to kind of be a bit more sensible about what times you're going to certain places, and yeah. So
does it make life harder? Does it make it harder to like have a normal life?
Makes life a bit hard for, like, you know, when I'm with my kids especially, because they're obviously just confused. So it is quite difficult at times, you know, just took my son to watch One Direction, he likes them yesterday. It was quite, you know, difficult, of course, manoeuvring through and getting out and, you know, people stopping for pictures, and it's like, I'm with a 6-year-old. But, you know, it's weird because it's like, for someone, it's like, I've waited the whole year to see you and I've seen you now, like, I need to take a picture. I'm like, okay, cool, let's take it. But for him, it's just like, why the hell do you want a picture with my dad?
Yeah.
Kind of thing, you know.
Cool. Now, does anybody still call you Jermaine, or does everybody call you Wretch?
9 out of 10 people call me Wretch.
Where did it come from?
Probably, it was a name that, you know, people just used to say I was quite wretched, quite naughty. So it was like, oh, you're a wretch, you're a wretch. And then me being a naughty kid, I was like, okay, that's a cool name. So I've decided to you know, to stick by it. And, yeah, you know, since then everyone's kind of just called me that. It feels weird when I hear someone call me Jermaine. It actually scares me sometimes.
Yeah, most people call me Nessie, so when I hear Vanessa, it's kind of like, okay, my mum's calling, I'm in trouble.
Yeah, you know you've done something wrong there,
yeah.
Or, yeah.
Classic. So listen, the album has done phenomenally. What are you up to now? When can we expect new music from you, or what's the story?
The new album's nearly finished. I've nearly finished it. I'm going to apply as much pressure as I can to the label to get out as soon as I finish it. But you know, I reckon we're looking at early next year. But it's sounding really good. You know, I'm really excited for people to hear this.
If you'd like to find out more about the Culture Cafe, you can go to my blog, which is nessimon.com. Thanks for listening.